As we continue our podcast series on passive fire protection hosted by the Encon Group, today we talk to Calum Irvine, Business Director of PFC Corofil and a manufacturer of passive fire protection solutions. Thank you, Calum, for joining us today and contributing to our podcast series in this fantastic studio that we're here. Now, for this particular session, we're focusing on the Code for Construction Product Information, also known as CCPI. And it's very important, this, because this code was introduced to address some of the issues raised in Dame Judith Hackett's report following Grenfell. And in the case of CCPI, it relates specifically to the marketing of product information and the marketing communication of product information. Now, the reason you're here is that PFC have recently achieved CCPI verification. I think you're a select group of manufacturers that have successfully achieved it. So maybe I think you can start by just giving us an overview of the code. You know, what does it represent? What does it aim to achieve for our sector?
Well, as you said, CCPI, Code for Construction Product Information, was created as a result of Dame Hackett's report into the Grenfell tragedy. It's looking to raise standards across the industry, to give confidence to specifiers that they know the product is correct for their particular application, without there being any ambiguity in the information given. And this goes across the whole business to make sure that the information is conveyed correctly to just specifiers, to distributors and to customers. And
that's right, because within the code, and we'll come on a little bit more onto the actual clauses that come onto the code, it's very clear when you're looking through that, a very key objective there is to make sure that product and construction product information specifically is clear, accurate, up-to-date, accessible and unambiguous. So those 5 key terms that very much are the backbone of that code and its principles, if you like. So talk to us a little bit about those clauses. My understanding is that there's 11 clauses. They're quite detailed. They cover a number of areas. Just tell us a little bit more about that, because those are obviously key to you going through that verification process.
Yeah, the first part of the process is very much about product information. So that's audited and verified by CCPI. Then it moves into the culture of the business, looking at how does the culture of the business work. And then it goes down to how is that information distributed throughout the business? How is it conveyed? How does it go through the members of staff at PFC Corofil, then to the customer?
And it is important, actually, that whole skills competence area, because obviously it's a consistent thread across the whole sort of building safety area that we're looking at, and the code has been introduced, and although it's voluntary at this stage, but it's all linking up to the direction of travel that we're seeing at the moment in the industry with the Building Safety Act and all the aspects that are coming there. This is just another strand that obviously very specifically focusing on product information. But that skills and competence piece is particularly important. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Even prior to CCPI, we had our product information checked by a UCAS accredited third-party fire engineer. So we were already on the path to this sort of process as a business, and CCPI was the next logical step for PFC Corofil. We think it's vitally important that the information that specifiers, distributors and customers are receiving is accurate, so they can rely on that information when making their decision about putting our products into a building.
And of course, this also encourages a consistency in approach as well in how that information is handled and how that's communicated from the business to your customer base.
Absolutely. Our verification mark on our product sets only lasts for 2 years. So it's not just you do it once. You've got to make sure you're maintaining those standards and be ready to be audited again.
And that's also a very important note, because it's very easy for people to go, and I wouldn't say that the verification process was easy, but if people go through it and then they get to their verification, you think, well, that's job done. But actually this code keeps people on their toes to say, no, you're going to have to come back and you're going to have to go through the same process again and make sure, because that's the only way you build that consistency and that change in mindset.
Absolutely. As a business, we now have a structure and a framework within which to operate when presenting our product information, which we continue. As part of the process, 75% of our business had to take surveys. Individuals in the business were interviewed by CCPI to verify that's how the business operates in relation to product information. So yes, it's very important, and it requires the whole business to buy into it.
Absolutely. And it also makes them realise that this is something that's integral now to the business. It's not something that we've had to do. It's a one time and that's it, it's job done. It's something that's actually built into the business going forward.
Absolutely. And it also gives the staff reassurance that the business that they're working for is a responsible business who intend to carry on.
And so let's move on to a little bit about the product sets that you've successfully achieved verification, because it's not you as a business that achieve that verification, it's the products, specific products. So which of the products have gone through that verification process, and why those products specifically?
Well, the first product set that we went to CCPI with was our cavity barriers. The reason we chose cavity barriers first was it's involved in the building envelope, which is obviously a very hot topic in the construction industry at the moment with reclads. So we thought this was the most important one for us to start with CCPI. It wasn't going to be easy because we've actually got a lot of products in that cavity barrier sector, but we thought it was correct to start with that one with CCPI.
And then which one was the other one that you've done?
We then did linear gap seals. We believe we've got one of the most comprehensive range of test data on linear gap seals in the UK construction market. So we decided to put go for that product set as well after achieving it for cavity barriers.
And have you got plans for any other products that you're looking to put in through that process?
We are currently working on our service penetration systems. We're making sure that the product is ready, product data is ready to go to verification stage, and once it's ready, we will be putting them forward.
And it's important, I suppose, to also bring into this particular session that CCPI, while it was initially introduced with clauses specifically for manufacturers, that since its first introduction to the industry, the code has evolved under CPI Limited, and most recently they've introduced an adapted version of those clauses for distributors and merchants to engage and get involved. And that's a very important development in itself, because in order for things to change, it needs to be something that moves across the supply chain. It can't just be the manufacturers that take responsibility for product information. It needs to be at every touch point across the supply chain. So distributors and merchants also have that duty, if you like, to make sure that the product information they manage, whether we're a distributor, we take product information from you, we also have a duty to make sure that product information we handle is correctly handled, and also our teams are skilled and competent to deal with that information. And I know that Encon as a group is looking to get on board with that particular one, because we do understand the importance of it.
Yeah, I believe, CCPI is still voluntary, but I believe the whole construction industry will eventually engage with CCPI, be it as a manufacturer, be it as a distributor, or be it as a contractor. I think in moving forward, it's going to be difficult to go after a government-funded project without having CCPI in place.
And of course, there's also the involvement. I think in previous discussions we've had on it, tier one contractors also are becoming engaged in this, and that's another important development.
Yeah, that's correct. In December 2023, a small group of tier one contractors have already engaged with CCPI, pledging that they will only take CCPI approved products from CCPI approved distributors moving forward.
And really it needs that all-rounded engagement of the industry to make sure that this continues to stay top of mind. It's not something that is just at a point in time. It's all part of change of the industry, changing its approach, its culture, and ultimately making sure that our buildings, whether old or new, stay safe going forward.
That's absolutely correct. And I believe by the introduction of CCPI, it will making buildings safer, easier in the future.
Thank you very much, Calum, for your time today. And it's been really interesting talking about the code. It is an important issue, so it was very key for us that it formed part of this series. So thank you for your time. It's very much appreciated, and all the very best for your future verification.
Thank you.